today's episode. I'm your host, Coach Tocha Moore. Y'all see this beautiful lady sitting next to me. I will introduce her in just a moment. Let me check in with you. How are you doing? What are your goals? Are you accomplishing what you said for the week, the month, the year, the day? Yes, all right, we're going to give ourselves a big old hug and love on us because we reached and did what we said. If we didn't, girls, y'all know how we do. It's okay. We're going to clap it up, clap it down, clean slate, start again, get up and keep moving. It doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish, all right? So there's still time to do the things that you said that you would do. Y'all, this episode today, I'm so excited. And I feel like I say that every week, but I really and truly am excited for phenomenal women such as Miss Jacinda Wright sharing their stories with you about who they are and the things that they've been through in life. And so today we are talking about from setbacks to success. You're looking at a beautiful version of it sitting right next to me.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. This beautiful young lady is my great friend. She is in real estate. She is out here, the home hustler, right? Did I get it right?
House
hustler. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's the house hustler, y'all. She is out here in what I call the real estate streets doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Helping people toward home ownership. She is a wonderful person. So sweet. Always got a beautiful smile. Takes care of her mom. Has a great son. And so I'm excited for you guys to get to hear her story. Get some tissue. I think we're gonna cry a little bit probably today. You think so?
Nice.
I think y'all might. And so Jacinda, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is so good. I love it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Jacinda was actually how this came about. I always like to tell them kind of how.
Okay.
She was at an event. I was not able to attend. And there were people that were coming to me like, oh my gosh, I really want to hear. Like, she started talking and I was like, ooh, I want more. And I was like, you know what? I need to get her on the show.
Right.
And so we had some conversations and she was like, absolutely, I'll come on. And so she has this beautiful, amazing story about something that for a lot of people, honestly, would have taken them out the game. You know, they wouldn't, I don't think would have been able to come back from what she came back from. And so I'm going to let her tell you about it. And this is really going to be her sharing her story, which I know will resonate with someone.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What an intro.
It's all true. It's all true.
Thank you so much.
So
I am glad to be here. I really am glad to be here. And I'm glad that you are doing this podcast. I'm glad that you are stepping into yourself and your calling because, I think this is what you're supposed to be doing. So I might interview Tocha.
Listen, hey, I'm here for it. Interview me. I'm here for that.
But really and truly, when I went to the Combat Ready that you had last year, what did I do when I heard you? I was like, what we doing here? This is what you need to be like. Because when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you come alive in such a different way. That's for anybody and anything. Like when it's really like embedded in you, then and I just see a different pizzazz and a different shine and a different, not that you don't have another one in other settings, but really and truly.
Thank you.
I'm serious.
Oh, look, we're not doing this.
Yes, we're doing this.
Thank you so much. That truly means a lot. So because your girl struggles sometimes
for no reason.
Yeah.
For no reason, y'all. For no reason.
Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? So
you're doing what you're
so
supposed to be doing.
That.
Just keep doing it.
Thank you.
Really and truly. I'm serious.
So sweet.
I'm serious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But we're not here about me. We're here about you today. So, start from the beginning. Wherever you feel like you want to start.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we want to go to the way beginning, but
okay. Maybe midway.
We want to start what got me into real estate.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I told you she was a realtor, and she has a great story about how she got into it.
So, really and truthfully, what got me into real estate was I had a major life change. Mm-hmm. So, before getting into real estate, I was married to my ex-husband, and to be honest, we had, a hip hop magazine. We did party promotions, but we were really running the streets. Mm. And he unfortunately got caught up in a really high profile murder case, which brought me into it. Because when the murder occurred, he was driving a rental car in my name, and the gun that killed the guy was registered in my name. So by default, I'm in it, right? But I wasn't there, and I had nothing to do with it, y'all. Just real talk. Dude,
okay, now we're coming for my girl Nate. Okay,
really.
Okay, awesome.
So when all of that occurred, and that was a big deal.
Oh wow.
That it was a big deal here. Like, so it was back in 2012. It was a big deal. It was all over the news. It was, I was on house arrest. They came and took me out of my house. Like that part was a big deal. But just him getting convicted, and he's no longer here, and I had to plea out to keep from going to prison.
Oh wow.
So a lot of people think if you take a plea, you're told that my name ain't on nobody's paperwork ever in life, just for the record. But if I would not have taken the plea, the way that the system works, I probably would have went to prison for 18 years. Wow. Seriously, my attorney told me that. Wow. Even though they knew I wasn't there. My co-defendants told them, why do y'all have this woman here? She wasn't there. We never seen. I have co-defendants I never even met. Wow. So what do you do, right? So I take the plea, I get probation, then I have to do community service.
Where were you working at the time?
I was not. Well, that's when we had
the party promotion. Okay, gotcha.
And the magazine and all of that.
Okay.
So, but we had to kind of put a hold on that because it didn't draw the right type of attention to say we're professionals and, it's urban, it's hip hop, it's clubs, stuff happens at clubs. It just is what it is.
Right, okay.
So that kind of got on hold. When it was time for him to go to trial is when I stopped the magazine.
Okay.
And all of those promotions and stuff. So I was doing my community service, getting my hours in because I had required probation and all that. And so I did it at the dog kennel, which is the nastiest. Boy, if y'all want to be, it was the nastiest thing. I had to go in there early in the morning and clean up all them nasty kennels or whatever. But, it was what it was. So I'd rather do that. Okay? Because it could have been another way.
Okay.
Right. So when I was like at the end, it was maybe like my last day or second to the last day, the director was like, what are you going to do when you finish? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. Because at this time, I'm just trying to get through that.
Right.
And so he was like, you a college graduate? And I was like, yeah. He was like, what's your degree? I was like, poli-sci. He was like, okay. Do you think you could do administrative work? And I was, yeah, I could do that. That's, no problem. So he said, what's your charge? And I was like, accessory to murder. He was like, I can't hire you. And I was like, and so at that moment in my head, I was like, if I cannot work admin here, then it's going to be hard for me to do anything. So when I left, I went home and I remember just sitting in my room and Googling like, what type of profession can you be professional with a convicted felony, right? And so it was like real estate, car sales, insurance, stuff like that. And it gave the different stipulations. So prior to all of this happening, when I graduated college, back in 2004, I think in 2005, I took a real estate class. I was living in Columbia at the time. But again, I was wild. So when I didn't pass the state board test, I didn't care. I was like, whatever. So I was like, maybe I should try this again and, be for real about it. Because mind you, my son is 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what are you going to do? Because you out here now, you a single mom. Like, your life is going to change.
Let me pause you. Did y'all hear what she said? I hope y'all catching these nuggets, okay? She said, immediately, Google is not just for what we use it for, to find a restaurant and all the things. She went to Google and was like, what can I do? She had a setback, realizing a conversation with someone, I can't even get a job doing here at this place. What else can I do? Stuff is going to happen in your life.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with the curveballs, the setbacks, and this was a big deal, right? And immediately our inclination is to ball up, cry, and do all the things, right? She stepped into action. What can I do? She found a solution and she's moving forward. All right, go ahead, girl.
So, I just said, let me find where a real estate class is. So I went to Fortune. And
that's where I went.
Yay! So, and this was back in 2014. So it was the summer. So I remember I completed my community service maybe like May, June-ish or whatever. And I was in class like July. And then now it's changed now, but then you just got your provisional license for a year. So the class was only 2 weeks.
Okay.
But immediately after that class, they had the following class that was 30 hours. So I just went and took that all together. But while I was in the pre-license class, I kept looking back and it was a guy in there and I was like, God, that look like my classmate. So one day I was like, is this Frog? And he was like, yeah. So his name is Adam Wilson. He actually works for Beverly Homes now. So we went to real estate. We were high school classmates and we went to real estate school at the same time. Cool. So he already knew he was going to Beverly Homes. So what I did was just study with him until he passed his exam. And then I went on and took mine. Then I started interviewing at different brokerages, and I felt really comfortable with Jamie Broadhurst. So Century 21 Broadhurst has been my home for the past 10 and a half years. And believe it or not, I think I was still on probation when I started.
Oh, wow.
I was still on, because I still had to go check in with my PO.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm going to try to get you off of this. He did. He was like, I'm going to try to get you off of this because you went to real estate school. I did everything really quick. Like, I did my hours. I didn't drag it on. Like, I went and got them out the way. I went to real estate school. And he was like, I'm going to try to get you off of this. And I was like, don't bother. And he was like, why? And I was like, bruh. And it's so crazy because he and I actually did a career day together at Loris Middle a couple weeks ago. He was in there too. But I was like, the family is upset. And rightfully so. Right. And I said, it's going to be a big deal if you try to do that. And he was like, no, I don't think so. And you haven't done anything. And I said, but you got to understand, they don't know that. All they know is they lost a loved one. Right. And somehow, some way, my name is tied to it, so they're mad. I'm not mad at them for being mad. Like, they're human beings, and it doesn't really matter what I tell them. They're not gonna believe it. They might, but it's that's just a situation. It's tense, right? And so he did attempt to get me off, and I think the judge actually granted me to be off probation. But again, you have to go to the victim's advocate, and they raised it. And I was just like, don't worry about it, because I was, I had begun my real estate career, and I was fine. It was okay. And I just kind of put my nose to the ground and did it. I didn't have a choice because I don't have any siblings, and my parents are older. So what choice did I have? So I did it. And I remember having a client. The lady was from California, and she was going to move over here, and she Googled me, and she found it. Oh, wow. Because now it happened in 2012. I started in 2014, so this had to be like early 2015. And the stuff has changed now, so you didn't have to sign by an agency. It was just like, hey, I want to see this house and over here. And I remember going in there, and she came in, and when I went to close the door, she was like, don't close the door. And when she said that, I was like, she done Google me. But it is what it is. And we looked at the house, and she was like, I'm not gonna go with this one. And she was like, I want to ask you something. And I said, what? And she said, I Googled you. And I already knew what was gonna come behind it. And she was like, but you seem to be really nice. So what happened? And I told her, look, it's an unfortunate thing, but I got caught up in something and it is what it is. There's no need to deny it. Mm-hmm. One thing my dad always told me, you really have no secrets. You don't have any secrets.
Period.
You don't. If somebody wants to find out something about you, they can.
Amen to that. My grandma used to tell me,
you
don't tell a lie when the truth will do. The truth will always do. I was like, listen. I was like, okay, grandma. I to this day, everybody was like, what's your pet peeve line? I don't like it. The truth will do.
No reason.
They're going to figure it out. My girls know, be like, we're not going to lie because she don't figure it out anyway. I'm glad you know that. That's right. I'm a detective at night. Okay? So, y'all, she had something that happened, and she made the decision to move forward. And she also owned her truth. We've all been through things, y'all. And there are going to be people that want to throw it in your face and remind you of it and tell you who you were and what you used to do and how do you think you can do that and what makes you think you can. We all have stories, something that may have happened. It's a moment in your life. Don't let it define your entire life.
Right. And to say that, though, Tasha, to be honest, I just started sharing this. So I'm going to keep it real with you. Yeah. Mike Fitzpatrick had me on his podcast years ago. Wow. And he touched on it. And as soon as he touched, I said, boop. And we changed the subject. He was like, you got caught up in a little bit of that, too. Because he asked the question, how'd you get into real estate? And I was like, my ex-husband was in a high-profile murder case. And he was like, you got in that too a little bit, right? And I was like, yeah. And then we diverted. And so big shout out to Mike because he knew it. It wasn't malicious.
Oh, right.
But I wasn't comfortable with saying it because not that it hadn't happened.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe when you turn 40, you don't care.
Girl, okay. Listen, I'm on the other side of it, so I will agree with you on that.
So I was, I'm 42 now, but this had to be, Mike had to have me on there like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even 6. I don't even know. But I wasn't comfortable saying it to the place where I would let people form an opinion. I don't care what the opinion is now. Like I was saying in private, Jenny King and I, we had lunch and she asked me then, she was like, have you shared that? And I was like, I don't say anything. She was like, why? And I was like, but maybe, I don't know. It was a mental thing. It's kind of like this. I didn't want to be judged for who I was no longer associated with or identified by because I re-identified myself. But I know now it's important to share that because someone may be still in that. Somebody might still be in that mindset. Somebody might still be with the dude, be with the street dude, think it's cool to be, the ride or die. Hey, y'all get y'all street cred, y'all can have it. Y'all can have it because it's not worth it. Like really and truly. But some people don't know that that's not worth anything, and now that I know who I am, I don't mind sharing. I don't mind talking to someone and saying, yeah, that happened, but it's ultimately about what you do with the card that you're dealt instead of rereading that over and over and over and over. Because just like you said, somebody could try to throw it in my face. Throw it up. I mean, go to Google. It's still there, I'm sure. Might be on page 5 or 6. I don't know, but it still is what it is. That does not take away from who I am. It's actually what gave me the momentum to say, I'm not that though. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm because honey, sitting in that trial with my ex-husband, oh honey, that
it gets real, right?
Yeah, I mean it was a lot of stuff said and. What could I say? I had to sit there. I had to sit there and hear who was Jacinda Wright's gun and Jacinda Wright and Jacinda Wright and I had to sit there. Wow. I had to sit there and listen to that, and so that's okay. Because the Jacinda Wright today is not the same one they were talking about in that courtroom.
Okay.
And that's just that.
Oh, I love that. Made me cry. Listen, we all have something that people would use to define us. I know when my husband got in trouble and had to do his time, I was a single mom, and me and my sister-in-law were, like working the shop and all the things. And so it's your truth, and yes, sometimes in your mind, you think it's something that you can't discuss or talk about because people are going to form their opinions and have their thoughts, and you're entitled to. That's just the truth. I say it all the time. Yeah. People are entitled to their opinions and their thoughts, and you get to decide though what you do after that. And for you, it was like, I've got a son, I've got a child. I know that's why initially my husband started his business. It was like, oh, we got a baby. What we gonna do? We got to figure this out. And we were young, and now, 47, looking back on every one of those moments, even the hard ones, they were necessary. Mm-hmm. It propelled me into the woman that I'm today. And so if you're going through
great woman.
Thank you. But so let me ask you this: when things changed, what do you feel like was the hardest part for you? When you were like going through the trial and all the things, when you were like, okay, wait, this is my life, even if it was like after the trial and you were what did you feel was the hardest part in that?
Pulling back from the old crowd, right? Yeah. Because you have, you have a circle. Mm-hmm. Like I said, some people want to get that label, like that street cred, like, oh, she ride or die, oh, he this and that, or whatever. But stepping from that crowd and just being like, blocking all the noise. I didn't care what they said, whether it was good or bad. I had to block all that noise. I had to focus in on what I was going to do, or else it was going to pull me back in. Okay. And that can happen. Oh, she thinks she all that. Who she thinks she is. Even to my ex-husband, harassing me. The people need to know how you really is. Okay, well, go say what you want to say. It's still to this day, you get a little but it's all right.
Right.
Because some people can only remember the version of you because they're still stuck in that same version of them. We are supposed to be fruitful and multiply. That does not mean just have children. That means multiply your mind, multiply your resources, multiply your talents. As you grow and learn, give that to somebody else, whoever it may be. It doesn't necessarily have to be in front of a crowd, but I'll give a prime example. I had coffee with a young lady the other day. She is looking to get into real estate. We talked about you too. Oh! Yeah. I was like, Tasha? She was like, yeah. I was like, the same thing I said when we started the show. Don't she just need to just do public speaking of, yes. I ain't gonna call her name, but if you watch it, you already know. But yes. It just ain't me, honey. But, I saw who I was at her age. I saw it and I could speak to that. Because she's in a transition. She was married to a dude that was into the street. I was like, I didn't know you was married. She was like, I was married. Yeah. And that fell apart. And now she is in a job transition and she doesn't know what she wants to do. So she was looking at real estate, and I asked her, I said, now, if you think you're going to come in and make a whole bunch of money, it's a lie. That's not about to happen. So if you cannot go 6 months to a year without getting a check, if you don't have support from home or somebody or somewhere, and you cannot afford not to get paid, you might want to rethink, or I did say, go sit on site if that's what you want to do. But she really didn't know what she wanted to do. So the conversation diverted from, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, to me and her talking. And she was 33 and she was mad. And I said, but when I was 33, I was mad too. Because my life that I had in my mind, where me and my husband, we were just going to have this great life. We have this good start. We have this foundation. All of these things that were in my mind. And on the outside, it looked like that, but it really wasn't that. And then when it broke apart, what was I going to do? Break with it? And I could tell. And I was like, honey, you got to pray. You got to get with God. You really do.
Okay, and tell him, listen, I was like, I'm mad, I'm upset. This was not supposed to happen. We just got married. I'm out here raising a daughter by myself. All the things. I get it. You have those moments. And what she said was so pivotal. You can choose to get up or you can break with it. Because that's the thing. I was like, I can sit here and crumble. Then what happens to my daughter? Or I have to pick myself up and say, what am I going to do? Because I was in school full time, working at the shop during the day and waiting tables at night. Is that my story that I had created in my head? No, but it was my reality. And so what she's saying, I hope y'all are catching these nuggets. Your reality is what it is, but what you do with that is a decision that you have to make.
Absolutely.
Because stuff happens to us all.
Every day. Still today.
And I say it all the time when people look at it like, oh my gosh, you're on social media. I have stuff just like you. Girl, I'm like, nailing my tire the other day. I was driving. I was like, how? I ain't even been on site nowhere to get no nail in my tire. And I'm like, okay. I had to get my daughter to an event to help with the buddy ball at the Miracle League. And I'm like, I only have 30 minutes to get this tire fixed. Y'all, life happens to us too.
All the time.
All the time. It's going to be moments and things like she was saying. The young lady she met for coffee in a transitional phase. Like, we're going to have those. But what, I'm trying to think of what it was that you said. Like, here I was having to make a decision and I really didn't even know what I was going to do. But I knew I had to do something. And also not letting what had happened define all of the next somethings.
Right. And just like I was telling the young lady, are you praying about? Yeah. Okay, but you're not leaving it there. And that's a hard thing too. Right. But God is going to be there. You got to get on the inside and stop being superficial and surface. Really, that's what's going to bring about the change, because that's what I had to come to terms with, because I was mad. I was just like her. She was mad. She's upset. She doesn't know, like, everything changed just like that. Everything can change just like that.
Girl, listen. That's a story. That's a podcast episode. Just everything can change just like that.
Just like that, you know? And I could feel her, and I was like, honey, I was mad too. I hated my 33rd birthday. People were telling me in my office, happy birthday, and I was like, oh, don't say anything to me. And they were like, oh, what's wrong with her? Girl. And I didn't know what was wrong with me then until I was like 34 or 35. And I said, you know, I hated when I turned 33, but I hated it because everything that I thought I was going to be at 33, I no longer was. And I had to rebuild. And that was where she was, right? And I could tell her, I've been there, honey, but I'm not there now. So you have to decide. You have to decide who you are and what you want to be, and every single day you work towards that person, because you already know it's already in you. You don't have the thought without being able to take the action. Once you think something in your mind, that's what it is. That's good or bad. Once you accept that thought, everything else is going to go in that direction. Amen. Yes, did y'all hear that? That's a nugget right there. It's true. It is. I know what I was going to say. Backtracking. One of the first things that she said when I asked her what was the hardest thing, she said letting go of what she knew. Paraphrasing. Letting go of the people, the crowds, the circle. Y'all, true change happens when you're willing to let go of the things that you know, the comforts. Right? What you know. It was the comfort of knowing them and those my people and what they're going to say and, you know, all the things. And so you have to decide, like, maybe they're going to say, oh, she thinks she all of that and bougie. Me, no, I'm just, and is. I say all this and am. Like, I just want better. And so that comes with elevation and changing my surroundings and the things that I do. Like, I can't. Maybe I can only speak for me. Maybe some people are strong enough to still be in an environment and not let it change them, so to speak. No. I know for me, because I know people say that, for me, I have to, when I made a decision about something, I have to remove myself from whatever it is that I feel like is holding me back from getting that something. Whether it's like my grandma yesterday, she asked me something. Oh, I was at her house and she was like, you watching American Idol? I said, grandma, that is what. She said, I know you don't watch TV. Everybody's like, you don't? I don't. Me either.
Have you seen? And I'm like, I don't. And they're like, why? I don't watch TV. And my grandma was like, I said, grandma, you know what? I have seen probably clips scrolling on social. I said, and I did the other day when I was folding laundry, actually turn on American Idol, but I'm probably 5 episodes behind. So I'm like, not really. And she was like, because I know you don't watch TV. I just don't. And people were like, why not? I'm like, honestly, I don't have the time, and when I do, I'm reading something or looking up like what podcast I need to be doing, what's the story I can share. So it's just my capacity is only so much, and I choose to put it in other areas for doing the other things that I want to do. You know, nothing wrong with TV. I ain't saying if you watch TV something's wrong. I just don't.
But it's not adding to what you're trying to build, right? And so to go back to being able to step outside of your comfort zone or your environment, that's family, that's friends, that's places you used to frequent, that's all of that. Because I mean, we did party promotions. I was always at the club. I ain't going today for what? I don't want that element because I can still flip the switch if I want to, but I don't want to. So it's about what you want to do. I don't want to move backwards. You cannot get ahead if you fall behind. How? You know what I mean? You can have a setback, sure, but if I go back to that, what is going to come from what came from it before? You know, what came from keeping up with what everybody got going on, what kind of car they got. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
That part.
When my light bill come, nobody's name gonna be on it but just saying. Period.
The only one. So, hard thing, letting go. Y'all have to let go of what was or is in order to move to what can be and what will be. When did you have that moment where you were like, this is not the story? This ain't it.
Oh, so many times.
Or do you still have it? Like, is it still now?
Yeah, we got a storyline going now too. So many times. I think the best answer for that is you have to look at where your mental health is. What are your thoughts? What are your actions? How do you respond to things, right? The story was not going to be, even though, okay, let's go back. Even though the story is the story, it's still not the story, because I grew up in a 2-parent household. Both my parents were educators. They were professionals. They had a reputation that was upstanding, right? I felt it was only right for me to provide that same thing for my child. Because that's what was provided for me. I never wanted to be a statistic, but we are. Father in prison, single black woman. No, if I don't go talk to the teachers, they're not going to know if I'm educated or not. They're not going to know if I'm professional or not. I make it my business to do that because it's nobody else going to do it. But we are still, if on paper, I'm a statistic. We statistics. Real talk.
100%. My dad was in the military. My mom, neither one went to college. She went to military straight after school. And so, yeah, I had my daughter at 22 years old. So, yeah, I was on getting food stamps, was all the things. And so, yeah, I started as a statistic. But I also knew something internally inside that there was something more. I didn't know what that more was. Like, even though I worked, I would work 2 or 3 jobs. I never had just one. And people are like, why don't you just work one job? Because I want money and I need to work 3 of them to live the life I want. Even at that age. And it was just to go buy outfits to go out on the weekend. That's the truth. You know, I was making money to go out on the weekends with my friends. And so it was the life that I wanted at that time. And then as I got older, I'm like, even when I was a stay-at-home mom, I always had a hustle. I did cakes. I sold Scentsy. Like, I started a full-fledged cake business from the house. Because I'm like, I'm here with these kids, but I'm going to be making some money because I want to go shop. Mama need a new pair of shoes is what I used to say. I love shoes and a bag. And so then it was all about the things, you know, that, like you said, that lifestyle living for people to be like, oh, where'd you get that bag? Now I could care less. Walmart, Target, I love a bag. It ain't the name of the bag. I just like a bag. And I'm going to have something to put in the bag and to give my children in the bag. Okay. So the game changes as you elevate. It's not just about the bag. And then I'm broke. I ain't got nothing to put in there. Okay. Like, absolutely. I love the bag. And I said it the other day, like at this point in my life, my children are watching me live a legacy. Is what I feel. Not just leave them one, I'm living one. And it's about, for me, showing them what that looks like, and then for them to be able to take whatever from what I'm doing and apply it to their life and build on that, so that one day my children's children will look and be like, it was, grandma, great grandma on the wall that my mom or their mom or whoever's mom watched live a legacy. And so teaching my daughters that whatever you're doing, what gift have you been given to build upon that? I know, I will say this, and I'm not going to cry, but I got into real estate so that there were things that God needed me to see in myself through real estate. Okay. And that was standing in rooms, talking to people, and that I could hold conversations because I didn't graduate from college, so I'm like, what am I really going to do?
But that don't even matter.
I know, but in my brain it did because of the statistic. It doesn't, but I thought it did. And so I was like, oh, my husband, I was praying like, okay, I had gotten my coaching certification and I wrote the book, and I'm like, and I still feel like there's something else I'm supposed to do. I just don't know what yet. And so I was praying like, God, but I know you're going to show me. My husband, literally, I promise you can ask him, text me. He was not home. I was at the house praying. He texts, have you ever thought about going into real estate? As soon as I got up from praying, my phone dinged, and it was my husband. And he said, have you ever thought about real estate? And my response to him was, yes, but I didn't want it to be just something else I tried, because I was a non-finisher.
Oh, but to that though, I think we try many things until they fit.
We do, but for me, I had created the habit of not finishing things. So that's why I was like, I don't want it to be something else I don't finish. I start and it's shiny. I didn't know, in my lack of wisdom in my young age, that you do try it on until it fits. Mm-hmm. I just thought, I'm starting all this stuff. I'm starting to start. Nothing's working, Mm-hmm. But it was only because we just recorded an episode the other day. It wasn't, I was the problem. I was in the wrong rooms.
And that makes a difference. That makes a difference, because if you're in the wrong environment, you're only going to grow to the level of that environment. So in order to get in an environment where you can think bigger, mm-hmm. you have to be around bigger brains, people doing bigger things. And really, if you really want to do it, mm-hmm. you will stay in those rooms instead of going back to the small. It's easy to stand in front of people with a small mind and seem to like you're intelligent. Mm. How easy is that to do? Mm-hmm. Right? But it's hard to go and stand somewhere and you don't know what's going on and you have to figure it out. But then it becomes easier to rise up. It's easier to rise up when you have your mind set on going forward. That's
She just answered my next question and didn't even know she was answering the question. Okay, I was just about to say, did you feel like I felt when I started I didn't know half the stuff they were talking about. I'd be sitting at the table and be like, I have no idea what they're talking about right now. They don't know either. And I would be sitting in elevated rooms and be like, I don't even know what that is. And I would literally leave and go Google it and be like, okay, I think I've heard that term before. But so to say, you may enter rooms that you don't feel qualified to be in yet. Sit in it long enough till you are elevated up. And it was uncomfortable to be like, I was in rooms where they were talking about like investing and I wasn't there yet, and all those terms and acquisitions, and I was like,
but today you have better knowledge.
Oh, 100%. I sat at that table and didn't know.
Can I say this? Yeah. For all of our real estate colleagues in the Myrtle Beach area, we are not the same person.
Y'all, listen.
We are not the same person, okay?
Tasha, Jacinda.
We are not the same. Okay. We may both look great.
Period.
But we are not the same.
We are not the same, y'all. I literally had people like, Jacinda. I'm like, where my girl at? And I'm like, wait, they're talking to me. I am not.
We are not the same.
And thank you, because she's absolutely beautiful. But
and likewise, but we are not the same.
We are not the same. Tasha. Jacinda, do y'all see?
But I mean, yeah. When I first started in real estate, I didn't know what was going on.
I was like, I don't know
But nobody starts in anything knowing.
Right.
You don't know.
You don't.
And that's okay. But it's like I said, are you going to stay so you can learn and so
100%.
you can grow? Or are you going to say, oh, I didn't know what they were talking about. Let me go back over here. And you don't even like what they're talking about, where you've been at. So what you going to do?
Nugget. Don't even like the conversation no more. Still sitting over there. Mm-hmm. Listen.
I'm telling y'all. What is it?
Girl, I ain't got nothing else. She done told the whole story, dropped all the nuggets. I'm like, these notes are absolutely irrelevant. I ain't got nothing else to say. Like, listen.
But it's so much, though. I mean, it's so much we can talk about.
It is. Like,
yeah.
I just love the fact that you were like, yeah, I'm going through this, I'm doing this, I'm dealing with this, and I still have to live a life that my son, I won't. So so does your son know?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, like, sometimes parents have that shame around, whatever. Because I know some people are like, no, I didn't tell my kids. And I'm like, you have to. Because what's going to happen is somebody's going to tell them the wrong narrative. And they're, or tell them and create a picture before you've been able to give them the information. Like for me, I didn't know my dad was not my biological father. I literally learned it walking down the street and they yell out the van, your dad is in the car. I'm thinking somebody has kidnapped my dad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they got my daddy in the car. And they're like, and they say like my biological father's name, his name is wrong. And they're like, he's in the car. And I'm like, that's not my dad. Like, what?
Wow.
So then I go home and I'm like, to my mom, I'm like, hey, like, my cousin was like, you look like him. I didn't even look because I'm like, let's keep walking because we're about to get kidnapped. Is all I'm thinking in my brain. Like, they're trying to get us to come to the car to take us. And so we're walking and then I go home and I ask my mom and she was like, well, how would you feel if that was the case? And I'm like, well, it's not the case, so it doesn't matter. And it was. That's how I found out that my dad was not my biological father. And so I think it's important to have the conversations with your children, even sometimes if you feel like they may or may not be ready, so that they're aware.
But he knew then when it happened.
Oh, he did? How was it?
He was 3, but he was at a daycare. Mind you, this was a big deal all over the news.
Oh, okay.
So so when they came and got me from the house, I couldn't go pick him up that day.
Oh.
So my dad did. And then I was in jail like the next day, so I wasn't there to pick him up. So when I finally, like, it took like 2 days when I finally did get out, I still didn't go pick him up. Maybe I went that one day, but I knew that people at the daycare had seen it because the way this woman's face looked when I came in the door was like, oh my God. And he said it as a small child. He was like, he kept saying, where was his dad? Mm-hmm. And then he said, one of the little kids said,
won't little kids tell it? Won't they?
They would tell you. Got to be careful with because
what you say in front of children,
especially little children like that.
Yes,
because they don't have any filter.
None.
They don't know what is real or what to say or what to not say unless you coach them. And so he said it. He was like, one of them kids said, Dad was in jail because he was like, where's he at? And I was like. So what do I say? Well, yeah, he is there. Mm-hmm. That's where he's at. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did get out on bond and all of that, and we went to trial. But even after the fact, I'll talk to my son about that now because what I don't want is he still got 2 parents, so you still got 2 sides. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. So I have to say, you either gonna go this way or you gonna go that way, and you got the option for both. Mm-hmm. But which way do you want to go? So I don't feel like it's beneficial to not be honest with your kids, and I think that's where some people went wrong. I'm gonna even say if my parents would have talked to me different. I might not have been as rebellious as I was because I ain't had no reason to be rebellious. I have no reason, none. But if they would have been more, vocal about, all right, you keep going out there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is what's gonna happen. Maybe I would have looked at it different instead of just trying to be like, you know how a teenage girl is.
100%.
Instead of just trying to be, rebellious because it's fun. You know, I'm getting away with it. You know, like if the conversation would have been different, then maybe I would have made a different choice. But it wasn't like that. So who knows?
Right.
But I don't hide anything from my son. I don't have anything to hide from because that is what happened. I said, you know why I got into real estate? This is why. Yeah, we've had those conversations. Yeah, plenty of times.
Listen, have the conversations, y'all.
They're
important. Anything else you want to share?
Let me interview you now.
Oh my gosh, why?
Because I want to do it. So I want to ask the question.
Okay. All right.
That I have gotten this from more than one person on our feelings about you just being 100% in the game of public speaking and podcasting and pastoring and ministering and all of these desires that evidently are in your heart because they come just with such a passion. And so I can speak to this because we attend real estate events together sometimes, and you have a different demeanor. Not with me per se, but it's a different demeanor than I have seen you in another setting. So when are we taking this show on the road?
Listen, that was the plan this year, but God had plans otherwise. But we are hosting a 2-day conference in November here in Myrtle Beach. Combat Ready, Fighting for Her is the title of this year. And so Fighting for Healing, oh goodness, it's healing, and the E stands for something in the R, and I know the R is restoration, but why can't I think? Oh, fighting for your healing, fighting for your evolution of who you're trying to become, and fighting for reclaiming the things that you feel like you need to reclaim or restoration. And so we're fighting for her, y'all. Come out. This honestly does truly fill my heart, and that's why I do it. And so I don't know what God is going to do with it, but you know how you just have that feeling like you're doing what you're meant to be doing and you don't know what's going to come of it, but you feel like something is going to come of it. That's like where I am with it. And ultimately, I just want lives to be changed. I want women to know that we all have stories and we've all been through things, and it's important for women like Miss Jacinda to share this story so that you know you can come out on the other side of whatever you're going through. And so y'all book coaching sessions. I want to be full-time. I would love to do this full-time. I love real estate, but I told my husband I got into it for a reason. It taught me so many things, leadership, all the things. Like in a short period of time, I learned so much about myself and how to be in rooms with people and speak and things like that, and not to dial down who I was to be in the room, but I can show up authentically as myself. And so that was the part for me I think I got into real estate for. And I said I feel like I'll be a part of it in some capacity forever. I love y'all, but I do not want to be in the real estate streets forever. I love it. I really do, but I feel like I'll be more on the coaching side of it eventually, because I love coaching real estate agents. I love coaching in general, mindset, business, all the things, which I know people are like, you got to pick a niche. And I'm like, I try, and then I get somebody asks me a question about this, and I'm like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. So as much as I have a niche, it's just empowering women. I say it like that. That's my niche, empowering women. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay, we're about to do your rapid fire questions, my friend.
Oh.
That's my favorite part of the show.
Oh boy.
Oh, I know, I gotta find my notes.
I didn't know we was having rapid fire.
It's the best part. It's my most favorite part.
Okay.
So hold on, I thought I wrote them down, but I did not. Hold on, I gotta find the questions. I put them in a note somewhere.
All right. Rapid
so
fire.
I know rapid fire questions are my favorite. I love it. You ready, girl?
I hope.
You got it. You're gonna. Here it is. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Best advice you've ever received?
Do your best, and the best will come to you. My dad always said that.
Ooh, I like that.
Always said that.
I never heard that. Do your best, and the best will come to you.
Yeah.
Your favorite way to reset?
Going in my prayer closet.
Period. Okay, prayer closet. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got 3 people. Dream client: Beyonce, Michelle Obama, Oprah.
Ooh, Oprah.
Me too. I love Oprah.
Oprah.
Oh, that's
Oprah. Definitely.
All right, finish this sentence. My past doesn't define me, but it did
mold me.
Y'all, we gonna end on that note. Your past does not define you, but it absolutely can mold you. And you get to decide where you end up in the shuffle of the things that will happen, the setbacks that will happen in your life, because you're gonna have them. And you get to choose whether you stay in the arenas that you're in, the rooms that you're in, the spaces that you're in, or you pick yourself up and decide, I'm going to move forward in a good way.
Absolutely.
Because you deserve it, right?
That's right.
Period. Y'all, thank you so much, Jacinda. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing your story today. Like, I didn't know any of that until we were just in conversation. It was like, girl. And I was like, what? I, again, don't watch TV, and I guess didn't then, because I surely didn't see. Or if I did, my brain doesn't remember.
And that was on your side of town.
Really?
Yeah.
Girl.
Serious.
Well, listen, I don't remember, child. So, I'm so thankful that you made the decision, like, yeah, this happened, and it was tragic, and you chose to take the tragedy and the setback to do something else with your life and something positive. And your son is so lucky to have you as his mom. You're an amazing bright light, always smiling. You're so welcome. And I'm so thankful that you joined us today and just shared with women that you're going to have setbacks, guys. Get in front of God if he's your thing. We're God girls over here. If not, whatever you believe in, find the strength within yourself to move from what is to what can be. That's what she did.
That's right.
Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Pausing, hit the subscribe button. It's up on the bottom wherever it is. Share this with someone you know needs to hear it. And maybe you feel like, oh, I don't know anybody. Share it on your social media anyway. You don't know who's there. You can check us out on YouTube. Anywhere that you stream your podcast, we are. Apple, iHeart, you name it, we're on there. Just look for The Squad Podcast. And my goal is that you come to this space and you hear stories and you find your people. So if you're in a space and you're like, hey, I'm going to play this, play it in a room full of other women, because you don't know who just might need it. Y'all have an amazing day. Thank you so much. Follow Miss Jacinda. I'm going to have her social media handles underneath the show notes so you can follow her on social media. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. We'll see you later, squad. Bye.